Hello, everyone. It's great to have you in this session on gig work. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you at different time zones. My name is Helen Liu. I'm at Rutgers University. It's my pleasure to share this very interesting on gig work. As many of you know that the gig work and the platform economy has become popular topics while reshaping the experience of work for an increasing larger numbers of population. However, often the debates around the gig economy lack empirical insights. That's why I'm particularly excited about this session. We have a group of 3 very interesting papers that will bring in empirical insights that they have seen in the field. What we are going to do in this session is we will ask each presenter to give a presentation that's about 12 minutes, and then we will open up for discussion. So for all of you who are in this session, you may either leave a comment in the chat box, or you may just raise your hand or just unmute yourself and speak out at the end of all the presentations. When all the presentations are done, I will just ask people who have listed their question in the chat box or who have made a note that they want to ask a question to share their thoughts or raise the question with us. Without much ado, we are going to start with the first presentation given by Victoria because of a confidentiality agreement with the company. So what is going to happen is I'm going to pause recording during her presentation, and then we will come back to record it. Okay, recording. And now we are going to turn to the second presentation. It's going to be Yue Zhao and presenting a study with Professor Mingwei Liu and Jing Zhang. Yes, we can see the presentation now, and we can also hear you. Great job.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks to the chiefs introduced. I'm a PhD candidate. It's my pleasure to share my work with you. This paper focuses on the Chinese online food delivery platform workers. So, as mentioned in the literature, the platform work claimed to offer many advantages, such as the task taking and working time autonomy and additional or good incomes. However, many researchers found the disadvantages of the platform, such as the lack of social security, unstable income, consequence of the control, and so on. So based on the debate, our arguments are as follows. The first is the pros of the platform is a trap, because workers cannot obtain the high income and the autonomy at the same time. It's a trade-off. The second one is the platform's bureaucratic control of task-taking autonomy, including the alternative work arrangements and the corresponding rules. So the third one is work's loss of task-taking autonomy is related to the work injuries, stress, lower PCS rates, or hourly rates. We explored the mechanisms of the work intensification as the mediator and the app-based training as a moderator. We employed the mixed method study, one qualitative study based on the field work and the interviews, and a quantitative study based on the service of online platform workers. In China, a digital platform has created many opportunities for the workers, and the platform riders is one of the most popular. In 2021, the total number of the riders earning income through the Meituan platform was 3.8 million, and most of them are rural. On Meituan platform, there are main 2 employment patterns, namely subcontracted and crowdsourced riders. Reported shows that riders' income across country is higher than the migrant workers. However, riders often suffered traffic injury. In the city Shanghai, the first half year of 2017, a total of 76 road traffics occurred in the food delivery industry. So the first study, we focused on the contested terrain. Our research based on the perspective of the labor process. We discussed the bureaucratic control. The autonomy of the riders have two aspects. One is the autonomy in choosing tasks, and another is the autonomy in when to work. We found that the alternative work arrangements with different rules on the two aspects of the autonomy. The methodology of study one are interviews and field work. We also collected the second-hand data for supplement. So here are the different types of the workers. We focused on the subcontracted platform riders and the crowded source platform riders. The subcontracted riders experienced the control from the system and the traditional control by the station. They don't have the autonomy. Compared with the crowded source riders, they only control by the system, and they have the flexible working time, and they also have the flexible workload. So based on these factors, we have formed the framework. For full-time riders means all working hours are on the platform. They don't have other work. But the part-time riders means that only part of the working hours are on the platform. They also have other work. The crowded sourcing riders is a dependent contractor worked for the platform through the app, and the subcontracted riders means that they are direct or indirectly employed by the platform's subcontractors. So they have the different autonomy in choosing the orders and when to work. Here comes our hypothesis. The first hypothesis is that the alternative work arrangements are associated with the different pay and well-being outcomes related to the platform riders' well-being and the pay rate. The riders' autonomy in taking orders is being lost, and the crowdsourcing riders are not free to refuse the order. When a rider chooses to accept the order dispatched by the system, the algorithm will dispatch the order to their rider and according to the setting. If a rider are not satisfied with the order, he can't find someone to transfer. They still need to send it by themselves or add money to ask someone others for help. This system will punish the rider who fail to transfer the orders and not delivered as required. The hypothesis 2 is that work incentivization mediates the relationships between alternative work arrangement and the rider's well-being and pay outcomes, including the work injury, stress, pay rates, and what's off in total monthly income. We can see the platform control will increase the work intensification by cut off the delivery time and increase the workload. Platform use the game state management to increase the work engagement and lead to work intensification. Work intensification is known to have a negative impact on both physical and mental health, while enhance the income by increase the workload. Hypothesis 3, it's the app-based training provided by the platform positively moderates the relationship between the alternative work arrangement and the rider's outcomes. Riders who expert the traffic regulation training can reduce the risk of work injury, and the training of using an app can increase the rider's effectiveness in doing so to improve the income and the hourly wage. So in study 2, we explore the task-taking autonomy and the income-health trade-off. So the hypothesis developed from the study 1. With the help of the Meituan platform, we collected 9,100 samples. We measure the dependent variables as the continuous. Work injury have 3 levels: never, occasionally, and often. Work stress range from 1 to 5. The total income uses 9 levels. Hourly wage is calculated by the weekly income and the weekly total work hours. Hourly wage retail uses the serial number to represent and calculate. The OLS regressions was used and the bootstrap for the mediating test. Here is the descriptive statistics of the four work arrangement type, and here is the individual effect of the choice of alternative work arrangement. Here's goes the main result, and the mediating result. And the moderating effects. So our hypothesis has been supported by the result. From the result, we can conclude in the study 2. We can see the alternative arrangement have different outcomes. The part-time and the crowdsourced platform undergo the lowest work injury, stress, and income, and the full-time and the self-corrected platforms had the higher work injury, work stress, and income. But the full-time and the crowdsourced platform riders have the lowest hourly wage. So the work intensification partly mediates the relationship, and the training reduced the full-time and the subcontracted platform riders' work injury and stress. The theoretical and the practical implications of the this study, we have 4 theoretical implications. The first is that the platform work cannot have kick and kick too. And the second is the control to describe the work's task-taking autonomy and to the manufacturing works consistent for working intensification. The third one is the task-taking autonomy. It is critical for the workers' outcomes. And the last one is the app-based training provided by the platforms can be beneficial for workers. So we have 2 practical implications. The first one is strengthen the regulation on the labor subcontracting for the working time. For the working time, the worker compensation and the insurance. And the second one is strengthen the training, particularly on the safety and the health. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a study with in-depth analysis and very rich detail of the industry. Now we would like to turn to the third presentation given by Mengjie.
Thank you, Professor Liu, for introducing, and also I want to say thank you for Yue. That is why I saw some overlap between this talk, our talk, and the previous one given by Yue. So I will try to be brief and about the background and also the introduction, and spend more time about the different results and different topics we are interested in. So our presentation topic today is contract types, job quality, and rider's voice on China's food delivery platform. And so the presentation will follow this agenda, and consistent with what researchers have already observed about platform economy, China's online food delivery market grows towards a very concentrated structure dominated by the two powerful platform companies. Together, those two companies have a combined 7 million registered riders in 2019, and this number almost doubled after COVID-19. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, there were 13 million food delivery riders by the end of 2021, accounting for nearly 1% of the country's total population. But as opposed to food delivery platforms such as in the United States, which simply classify couriers as independent contractors, China's platforms follow a different trajectory to circumvent the employer responsibility and also to balance their demands for delivery workforce security and flexibility. So firstly, they introduced the franchise and on-demand delivery models, and then more recently by dividing the on-demand riders with more narrowly defined work plans or work contracts. Also, we noticed that since 2020, under the pressure from public and government, both platform companies started involving riders through platform-led consultation with riders. They collect riders' suggestions, and these suggestions are also then being used as rationale behind the recent work contract changes. So with this background, our goal is to compare the job quality carried by three major types of work contracts and to study riders' expectations and voice intention under different work contracts. So I want to briefly review the development of the food delivery market because this is the, I think that the root reason why they are changing the work contracts recently. So China's online food delivery market emerged in 2019. So between 2019 and 2014, it's more likely a early exploration stage in which different platforms are testing their business models in big cities and targeted in different customer groups, like some of them targeted white collar groups and some of them targeted college student. So in this stage, we saw that there are various delivery models and employment types and work contract types. And then these platforms reached the strategic turning point in the year of 2015. They targeted multiple tasks, multiple markets together in more than 1,000 cities. This aggressive expansion requires significantly increasing the delivery capacity and also the delivery quality. That's why in this year, we see the three major platforms started to use the Trinity delivery model, including platform hire riders and franchise model, and also the crowdsource riders. And then the next stage is featured by expansion and integration. We saw a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and also one of them went public at in the year of 2018. So between this period of time, the online food delivery market was gradually saturated with most cities and restaurants in the cities covered by at least one platform. The business strategy started to emphasize operation refinement and cost reduction. One major change in this stage was that platforms stopped hiring riders directly. And then more recently, especially since 2019, the major food delivery platforms started to shift from only deliver the food to deliver everything beyond food. So they include grocery, they include near-field e-commerce, customer-to-customer deliveries, and community-based group buying into this huge platform. And with this increase in diversified delivery demands, further fragmentation within the crowdsourced delivery has been introduced. And now let's see the contracts they are using. So in the very beginning, riders are hired by restaurants, and then franchise hire and platform hire riders appeared. And in the year 2015, crowdsourcing were introduced as a third type. And as I just mentioned, platforms also stopped hiring riders during this stage to reduce cost. And then the crowdsourcing type were diversified with different subtypes of contract are created. In 2019, the priority plan, I call it a special work contract, was set to selecting and attracting high performance gig riders and give them access to more stable quantity of orders. That means more stable income. And then they have to give up some flexibility of doing their task and selecting their orders they want to deliver. And then in 2021 and 2022, the same city plan and short distance plan were then introduced to attract riders who prefer long distance or short distance deliveries respectively. And also the platform companies give rationales of these changes, that is, we collect suggestions and riders' preference through consultation with riders, and that's why we have this new type of work contracts. And this study also only focused on 3 types of work contracts, and then we have 3 groups of riders, because this data we use is collected in the year 2020, and at that time we only have the 3 major type of work contracts. So we have, firstly, the station riders who are hired by the franchisee and dispatched into stations. So they work in shifts with team members. They have a station manager. They have a physical workplace, physical office in each business district, and they cannot refuse orders assigned by the platform. So they are actually employees of the franchisee agency. And then we have the real gig riders who are really work on demand. They can choose orders, they can refuse orders, they work individually in flexible hours, and they are seen as self-employed workers under the current legal framework in China. And then the last group we have is the prioritized gig riders. This is a name I give to them. That is the gig riders who choose to join the priority plan. They are seen as self-employed workers under the legal framework, but their work arrangements are very similar with the station riders. They work in teams, so they have a manager, the lead rider, and their team performance is monitored and managed by the platform. They will get rid of the low performance riders based on the team average, and they cannot choose orders. They are using the dispatch model. You deliver whatever order was sent to you, but a little bit higher flexibility than the station riders. That is, they do not have daily meetings. They usually have weekly meetings with the lead rider. And also, although the orders are dispatched, they could also cancel some of them by paying some penalty, that is maybe $3 to say that I want to cancel this order that you assigned to me. So these are the 3 major types of work contract and 3 major groups of riders we are focusing on. So the data we use is the survey of platform food delivery riders in 2020, designed by the Chinese Academy of Labor and Social Security and conducted together with 1 major platform company in China. 5 cities were chosen to represent different levels of food delivery market vitality, and questionnaires were sent to chosen riders through platform system with a very low level of bonus incentive. And we define our sample as riders aged from 16 to 60. And we use multivariable regression analysis in the study. So the dependent variable we're interested in, including riders' voice intentions. Unfortunately, we do not have the real voice behavior or the available voice channels. What we only have is the question that, are you interested in participating in platform management and rulemaking? And we are also interested in the job quality carried by different work contract types, and also the riders' expectations about job quality improvement under different work contract types. The independent variable we have is the work contract type, including station sign a employment contract with the station, or the real gig riders, or the gig riders who join in the priority plan. We also controlled the riders' demographic characteristics, their job characteristics, their previous job experiences before joining the platform, and also different reasons like the pull and push factors of joining in the platform. And so this slide shows the descriptive statistics of some key variables of riders' demographic and job characteristics. We can see that the real gig riders are older and more experienced than the station riders. They're more likely to have other jobs, more likely to work on multiple platforms, although the percentage is also lower, only 10%. And they have the lowest level of economic dependence on the platform job. But the prioritized gig riders, whose work arrangement is very similar with the station riders, are youngest but most experienced in online delivery, so they are good. And this group have highest percentage of rural migrant workers and has the highest economic dependence on the platform. So we could see this could be a very interesting sorting effects there. Different riders are attracted to different work contract types. And this table shows some descriptive statistics of some key variables we're interested in, including job quality and the riders' expectations and their monthly income, their number of orders every day they deliver. And we could see that the real gig riders have the lowest monthly income because they may work in shorter working hours and deliver fewest orders. Their training and injury frequency, their stress levels when doing the delivery task are lowest. Real gig riders also report lowest expectations towards the platform economy in improving their job quality, although their expectation in increasing the piece rate is especially high than the station orders. On the other hand, the prioritized gig riders earn most, work longest hours per day, and deliver the most orders. Their training and injury frequency and stress level are the highest, but they are least likely to sign employment contract and least likely to be covered by any insurance plans. They report the highest expectation towards the platform economy in improving their job quality. Moreover, they are more likely to consider participating in the management and rulemaking process, and least likely to exit the platform in the near future. And the regression results for job quality are quite similar with our observation with the descriptive statistics. We could find that different contracts, different work contract emphasize different aspects of job quality. So if you join the real gig job, it provides you lower income, lower working load, higher flexibility. But despite this higher level of flexibility, real gig riders also report high stress in completing the delivery tasks. And although the effects of real gig work and prioritized gig work are very close in employment contract signing, but the special gig work contract leads to a significant pay premium, higher working load, lower working hours per week. That is because this special plan only required the riders to work 6 days of a week. So they have the last day, have the freedom to work as the real gig workers or just have a rest. So this is the results on job quality. And then we build regression models for riders' expectations on 5 different aspects, like higher piece rate or safety protection, or more objective evaluation of customers' complaints. We find that compared with station high riders, real gig riders have lower expectation on a lot of things. And their total expectation level towards the platform is also lower, but they really expect the platform could increase the piece price they have. And on the other hand, prioritized gig riders have similar expectation patterns and levels, with station riders expect that their expectation on fair task is significantly lower. And this could be come from that little higher level of flexibility in canceling orders, although with penalty. And then finally, we estimated the effects of contract types on riders' voice intention. We build logic models for the likelihood of considering participation in management and rulemaking by progressively adding riders' overall expectations, the specific expectations, and the interaction of contract type and the expectation on higher piece price. We find that after controlling the job quality or rider characteristics, real gig riders show lower intention to participate in management rulemaking. We'll prioritize gig riders, report similar voice intention with the station riders. And this effect of contract type could be partially mediated by the rider's expectations. Moreover, although the rider's expectation on higher price cannot enhance the voice intention directly, it has a significant moderation effect. That is the expectation on higher price can significantly increase the real gig riders' voice intention. Also, since exit may be another choice for the riders, we also include the exit intention and we find that compared with station higher riders, both type of the gig riders report lower level of exit intention in the near future. That make us think that, well, they really have a high stake level to this platform. It's hard for them to leave, and they also are not willing to leave. But the association between voice intention and exit intention is not significant. This may come from that this is only the voice intention rather than the actual voice behavior or the actual availability of voice. So this is our study. We find that different work contract types emphasize different aspects of job quality, and these work contract types are also associated with riders' expectations. And then real gig riders report lower voice intention through this management participation. And this effect could be partially mediated by the rider's expectation levels and could also be moderated by the rider's expectation on piece price. And both types of gig riders have low exit intention. And there are also some limitations of our study, including actually one major concern of my own is we find that the real gig riders are silent and are more loyal, but the question is, are they really silent? Are they really having low voice intentions? When doing the study, I also followed a lot of writers who posted vlogs on different social medias in TikTok, in Bilibili, which are commonly used by the young writers. And we found that most writers who post the delivery working process and their opinions and their demands are the real gig writers. They have more time, and this posts are also another job of them and bring them income, and they do not have the station manager limited them to post information about their jobs. And so I would say that this real gig writers, they are silent in some way, but they are willing to have voice in other channels, maybe from social media, maybe from other types of forms of voice. And this is our study. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We have certainly learned a lot about food delivery and work employment in China. Okay, so we are going to open up the floor for discussion, questions, and suggestions. In the chat box, you may type in your question, or you may just raise your hand now. Yep, and you can just speak up.
Okay, so hi. So I want to ask a question for Mengjie. I think your study is very interesting and inspiring. So I have a question. So you distinguish between 3 different types of workers: station worker, the real gig worker, and the prioritized gig worker. So especially for the real gig workers, so there's a possibility that some of these workers, they just work part-time and then they work for very short hours. So their performance or their income may be lower than those station workers and prioritized gig workers. So have you controlled that, and how do you deal with that?
Yes, we controlled their working hours and working the days they work on platform every week. Am I sharing my slides now? Yes, we controlled their working hours when we do the regression on writers' expectations and also their voice intention. And this is a very good question, actually. In the beginning, we are thinking about maybe we need also to divide the real gig writers, just like Ruike did, that is dividing them into the full-time and part-time. But then we find that the full-time real gig writers is about 60% of the total real gig writers. And also to make this analysis more simple, we didn't divide them into more detailed types, but we controlled their working patterns and working arrangements.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You're muted, Professor Liu. Helen, you're muted.
Thank you for letting me know. In the chat box, Victoria has previously asked a question about training. I would just like to take the time to see whether you can explain training again to the entire audience, and probably some other researchers, practitioners want to jump into this discussion as well. So Victoria, would you please restate your question?
Yes, sure. I was curious, how did the training take place and what material was covered, since you find quite a significant effect of it? If another platform would want to copy this, kind of, what are some of the best practices perhaps, and maybe some things that one could still improve upon?
Oh, okay. I guess the questions, the training of the online platform workers, it can accept training through their app, and the platform will make the videos of the training programs into the short pieces, such as 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and the workers can learn the videos through the rest of order or through the rest in a day, so they can train. They can have the well performance of the training, and the training content always contained several aspects about the regulations, the law, and the standard.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So for all of you in the audience, feel free to raise your hand or pose a question in the chat, or you may just unmute yourself and speak out. While we are waiting, actually, I would like to ask a question about the second study, the study that you and the group has presented as well. I think it's really fascinating how you divide the workers into part-time, full-time, as well as crowdsourcing and not. I wonder whether you have observed any movement in between these categories. And I also wonder if there is any movement that bring in new insight or perspective to your findings.
I think the movement from the full-time, the part-time, and the two is and the subcontracted and crowdsourced workers are the pay in different ways. Maybe the subcontracted workers was paid totally by the number of the orders, and each orders is the same price for 3 or for 5, but the crowded workers are paid as the system calculates the price. So they have the different movement, and the station can give some movement of the subcontracted workers, such as if they work the long hours on the platform, or if they send more orders, they will receive some extra income.
May I also ask the same question to Mengjie? You also have those different categories, and
yes.
Obviously you have identified the different work conditions of those workers. So during your study, did you observe some movement in between?
Yes.
I personally find this to be fascinating, because people who don't study gig work tend to assume that gig work is a homogeneous group. But you are telling us actually there are important and meaningful differences out there.
Thank you very much for the very good question, Helen. Actually, this is another study we're doing now, that is the internal mobility of the riders into different work contract types, and also into other positions within the platform. Maybe they are promoted, maybe they go to the customer service. So we do observe quite interesting mobility patterns, and this is actually coming from the rider themselves. We communicate with some riders, and we notice that many of them giving us a clue, that is, they're telling us, if you want to join the if you are a new rider, try the station hire riders, and that makes you becoming more familiar with the working patterns and how to improve the performance. And then after you become experienced, you get much familiar with the community and knows which building is located in in where and your performance and your efficiency is highly enhanced, and then you move to the gig rider, the real gig rider group, because you can select the orders you like. You can also cultivate your account, let the platform, let the algorithm know that your which way is most efficient for you. And then we also find that this platform also have their busy seasons and also seasons not that busy, because when summer and during summer and winter, people do not like to eat out, so they order food, and this is the busiest season for them. That is, when you have stable quantity of orders, you stay in the real gig platform, and then if the business season was passed and you cannot get enough quantity of orders, then you can move to the prioritized plan. That is, they are promised to give you a certain number of orders. So this is what we observed. That is, when you get experienced, you move to the real gig job. And when you are more confident of your performance, you choose other prioritized plan to increase your income and save your time. So it's not that based on regular working hours.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions from the audience? Yes, Ting, please. You may unmute. Ting Zhang.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, very well.
Hello. Yeah, thank you very much for the very interesting panel. All 3 papers, excellent, very interesting. I actually have multiple questions, but I know time's limited. For the first paper, I really like the experimental design, although I really want to know more details about it, how the design is actually implemented. For the second paper, my main question is about, you mentioned about quite the difference between full-time and a part-time, status. They have it results in different injury, which is very interesting, and I kind of want to know what is the mechanism behind it and why that happened. And I think that's fascinating about the injury, particularly in this case. And the last paper, I like the sorting about the 3 different ways, and actually Dr. Liu also mentioned a very good question about the mobility, which is partially related to what I was interested in. And I know in the United States, between Uber and Lyft, all the regular taxi company, there are a lot of drivers who do all of them, right? So kind of wondering whether that's the case in China. They might not be necessarily mobility to each other, but they might. Is that any conflict interest agreement? They can allow them or not allow them to work at simultaneously. If so, how the sorting you actually working really works. So that's basically my question. Thanks very much.
Should I quickly take it? So I guess there's quite a few details. We can maybe take it onto the chat or offline after. I guess very briefly, because we knew that there are different community memberships, what we did is we reached out to the existing communities as well as to drivers overall. So the call for the experiment went out to everybody. And then once drivers signed up, we asked them to report whether or not they are members of the community. And then we also allowed them to either sign up as a team or individual. And then once we had all the signups, we randomly selected equal groups, so 600 participants to about 200 in each, and then half community not, and then we randomly assigned them across the 3 conditions. Thereafter, all of the communication took place through an app, so we designed an additional kind of module for the app where they could observe each other's performance, they could observe their team's performance and knew where they were standing, and essentially it was a tournament for the 2 treatments, one between individuals, one between the teams. So I hope that clarifies it. And the experiment ran for 4 weeks in total. And so we could observe it before, during, and after their performance and their communications. But I can provide a bit more detail maybe on the chat.
Yeah,
that
since it's about time for us to end this session, I'm going to thank you for your attendees and also for your participation in this session. But we are also lucky that this room is not going to be taken by a group immediately. So if the audience and the authors may stay a little bit longer, we can do that now. But for those who are running for another session, thank you for your participation and great to see you.